Angeles, and you're watching Eagle News International. On tonight's headlines. After delivering his address last night, President Biden is now hitting the campaign trail, aiming to build momentum for his re-election campaign. A Jordanian military cargo plane's aid drop near Gaza City, intended to help with the humanitarian crisis, turned deadly. A parachute malfunction caused the contents to scatter, resulting in 5 reported fatalities, according to Palestinian officials and witnesses. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban is visiting the U.S., but will reportedly only be meeting with former President Trump, bypassing current President Biden. Art lovers rejoice. The European Art Fair, also known as TIFAF, opens its doors this weekend in the Netherlands. Among the treasures on display will be a rare early work by Vincent van Gogh and a record-selling masterpiece by Vasily Kandinsky. And now to the news. President Biden is hitting the campaign trail tonight, aiming to gather momentum for his re-election bid following last night's State of the Union address. His initial destination this afternoon was Philadelphia, marking the beginning of a tour through crucial swing states, as stated by his campaign. The president assured his supporters of his readiness to confront former President Donald Trump head-on.
The threat to democracy must be defended. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win. Respect free and fair elections. Restore trust in our institutions. And make clear political violence has absolutely no place in America, zero place.
Tomorrow, he'll continue his campaign journey with an appearance in Atlanta. President Joe Biden's State of the Union speech has sparked conversations across the nation, leaving many to ponder its significance. We turn to U.S. political analyst Aaron Kahl for his insights. Despite initial skepticism, President Biden's address captivated audiences with its energy and engagement. But what does this mean for the political landscape?
Many of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to put Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you.
Now, Kahl highlights the speech's partisan nature, signaling a shift towards campaign rhetoric and mobilization.
It's a very partisan speech. These are generally more ceremonial and just kind of about the country and where it is. But this was kind of more of the start of a general election campaign speech, and really meant to rally his base of supporters because many of them have left him from 2020.
By addressing his predecessor's policies, President Biden sets the stage for a contrast-driven campaign narrative.
A president, my predecessor, past administrations, including my predecessor. Well, my predecessor, I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress and the Senate to demand they block the bill.
And I think that while he didn't mention Trump's name specifically, talking about the predecessor, his policies, that many times, double digit, was many more than anyone expected. And so it really shows that the campaign, I think he wants to be about that that contrast and not just kind of a referendum on how his presidency has been for the last 4 years.
Despite concerns over his age, President Biden's vitality during the speech may alleviate some doubts among voters.
It was very late, and he didn't show, any signs aside from, a few kind of coughs. Didn't show any signs of that. Combine that with his recent results of his annual physical, which seemed to be positive. I think there are a lot of concerns, such as the Middle East, inflation, the economy, and some other issues. But the age one, I don't think will be as large in the mind of voters after he showed that he could really get it together for an hour plus, and also.
Insightful analysis indeed as we await the unfolding dynamics of the presidential race. One thing is clear, the political landscape is charged with anticipation. Now turning to the recent developments on Super Tuesday's presidential primaries, where Democratic President Joe Biden and former Republican President Donald Trump emerged triumphant. The stage is now set for a potential historic rematch in the race for the nation's highest office. Our teams have been tirelessly working across the country, capturing the pulse of the voters and delving deep into their perspectives on the highly anticipated prospect of a repeat showdown between these two influential figures. Now let's turn to Jeff Sanidad as he unveils the story, giving you an inside look at the voices and feelings that are shaping our political landscape.
This fall's U.S. presidential election is shaping up to be a rematch between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. And that has a lot of voters concerned because despite party allegiances, many don't like either candidate. In a sampling of voters in several states, the opinions ran the gamut. Texan Lena Kelly is a hardcore Trump supporter.
USA needs a strong leader and brave man. And that's him.
Chris from Las Vegas is also on Team Trump, saying he's happy the former president is the likely Republican nominee.
I think it's wonderful because I love Trump and I think he'd be great for the economy and for the United States. His campaign's about everything, so everything that Biden's done, he's going to do the opposite.
John Thompson of Georgia echoes that.
We need a guy like Trump to come and help us out.
One continuing theme is that many voters like Irene Irby from Maryland aren't impressed with either candidate.
I feel the two of them are too old to be trying to run this country. There can be a much better candidate outside of those two.
Clifton Pope says it comes down to choosing who is going to do the least damage.
But honestly, it's like picking the lesser of two devils. It's like, which one would you rather be cool with? Because they both have tremendous flaws, but at the same time, both of them have some benefits to them.
Salis Stanislaw says he has no preference either way.
It doesn't make any difference because my concern is as long as the government being treated right and the people being treated right, so it doesn't matter.
For others, they hope whoever moves into the White House next year will address issues dear to their hearts. In the case of nurse Raquel Cayabyab, it's health care.
There are a lot of healthcare workers that really don't have the access to the affordable medical or health care that they need.
School teacher Mary Negrillo is hoping the winner will remember the nation's classrooms.
Give help to improve the educational system of our country and also give better compensation for teachers.
Michelle Jefferson says the economy and immigration are the big issues, adding the outcome will come down to voters not tied to any political party.
I think independent and moderate voters will come out and possibly do some surprises come November.
Americans elect their president indirectly through a complicated system that involves the Electoral College. That means winning the popular vote doesn't necessarily mean winning the keys to the White House. The key to this election is who will woo the most independent, non-aligned voters, especially in the swing states where there are enough Electoral College votes to push a candidate over the finish line. At the U.S. Capitol, here in Washington, D.C., Jeff Sanidad, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Now, former President Trump has filed a $92 million bond to cover a defamation judgment in New York. This move allows him to delay paying the penalty while he pursues an appeal. A jury found Trump guilty of sexually abusing writer E. Jean Carroll in 1996 and then falsely accusing her of lying about it. In other news, Trump solidified his influence over the Republican Party as its national committee endorsed his leadership team. Michael Whatley, the North Carolina party chair, has been elected as the new RNC chair. Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, will serve as the national co-chair. And it's worth noting that the Trump team has pledged not to utilize RNC funds for his legal expenses.
I'll tell you, he called me about this position, And I never, if you would have asked me 2 months ago, would you ever have considered doing this? I would have said, I don't really know. It wasn't something I ever thought about. But I also never realized that we would be in this space in our country right now.
To give the new leadership the benefit of the doubt, I've had good conversations with both Michael Whatley and Laura Trump last night. Frank conversations expressing some of my concerns, but I feel like they're receptive to that. And both of them are kind of new in the position. And so I think that they're going to do the best that they can.
The European Union revealed plans for a ship carrying supplies to arrive in Gaza this weekend. Sailing from Cyprus in a landmark pilot operation covering over 200 nautical miles. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen emphasized the urgency of the situation, highlighting the dire humanitarian conditions in Gaza.
The humanitarian situation in Gaza is dire, with innocent Palestinian families and children desperate for basic needs. And today we are facing a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. And we stand by the innocent civilians in Palestine. And that is why today the Republic of Cyprus, the European Commission, the United Arab Emirates, and the United States, of course supported by other critical partners, announced our intent to open the maritime corridor to deliver much-needed additional amounts of humanitarian assistance by sea.
Turning our attention now to the ongoing conflict in Gaza, the United States reports that all of its receiving a separate airdrop. A parachute malfunctioned, causing the contents to scatter mid-air and resulting in tragic casualties. Palestinian medical officials and witnesses report that 5 people were crushed to death by the falling debris.
مأساة تضاف إلى المآسي التي يعيشها شعبنا الفلسطيني في قطاع غزة في ظل هذه الحرب الدموية على القطاع، حيث ألقت الطائرات المدنية المساعدات على المواطنين في المناطق الشمالية من القطاع، لكن للأسف الشديد سقطت هذه المظلات على رؤوس المواطنين، والأمر الذي أدى إلى ارتقاء 5 من الشهداء وإصابة أكثر من 10 إصابات، من بينهم أيضا إصابات حرجة.
Meanwhile, in response to escalating humanitarian needs, President Biden announced plans for the U.S. military to construct a temporary pier in the Mediterranean to facilitate the delivery of aid to Gaza.
Tonight, I'm directing the U.S. military to lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelters. No U.S. boots will be on the ground. A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance.
The Pentagon confirmed this plan, indicating that it'll take several weeks to establish the facility.
Simply put, they'll establish a temporary offshore maritime pier that allows for shipping vessels to transfer cargo to smaller vessels to transport and offload cargo to a temporary causeway for the delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza. We anticipate that it'll take over 1,000 U.S. forces to participate in building this capability. As far as time frame, as I mentioned, several weeks, likely up to 60 days in order to deploy the forces and construct the causeway and the pier.
The United Nations has reiterated the importance of land deliveries to Gaza, emphasizing that airdrops and proposed maritime aid corridors cannot fully address the humanitarian crisis without increased access through land border crossings. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban is set to embark on a significant journey this Friday as he travels to Florida to meet with his esteemed ally, former U.S. President Donald Trump. Trump, widely considered the frontrunner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, has maintained a close relationship with Orban, whom he regards as a good friend. Orban's optimism regarding Trump's potential return to power has been evident in his public statements, emphasizing the potential for improved bilateral relations and enhanced security in Europe.
I'm sure that if President Trump was the president today, there would not be any war in the Ukraine or in Europe. Mr. President, come back, make America great again, bring us peace again.
This sentiment contrasts sharply with the concerns voiced by many of his EU counterparts. 7th. French Ambassador Marie Fontanelle strongly condemned the attack, offering condolences to the Philippines and calling for an end to such attacks on international maritime traffic. Japanese Ambassador-designate Kazuya Endo echoed the sentiment, expressing solidarity with the Philippines and highlighting their commitment to peaceful resolutions. Canadian Ambassador David Hartman and German Ambassador Andreas Michael Pfeffer-Noschke also sent their condolences to the victims' families and emphasized the need for a peaceful solution to the conflict. The Philippine government confirmed the deaths of 2 Filipino seafarers with 3 others sustaining serious injuries. The True Confidence, carrying a crew of 20, including 15 Filipinos, was struck approximately at 11:30 a.m. Sana'a time on March 6th. United Airlines had a rough day Friday with 2 separate airplane incidents. A United Airlines flight UA2477 from Tennessee to Texas made a dramatic landing at a Houston airport. The Boeing 737 MAX 8 appeared to suffer a landing gear issue and veered off the runway in heavy rain. Thankfully, all passengers were safely evacuated, though the cause of the incident is still under investigation. In another unrelated event, a United Airlines plane departing San Francisco for Japan lost a tire shortly after takeoff. The tire caused damage to property before the plane landed safely in Los Angeles. The FAA is investigating this incident as well. These events come amid recent concerns about airplane safety, including engine problems on a Houston to Fort Myers flight. Likely a compressor stall, and pilot reports of stuck rudder pedals on another Boeing 737 MAX 8 landing in February. The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating both incidents. The European Union is taking a big step towards regulating tech giants with the rollout of the Digital Markets Act, or DMA. This new legislation aims to level the playing field for smaller businesses and give users more control over their online experience. But enforcing these rules could be a challenge. The DMA introduces a series of regulations for 6 designated gatekeepers, including industry titans like Apple, Amazon, Google's parent company Alphabet, TikTok's parent company ByteDance, Meta, and Microsoft.
Well, I think if you look at our history of not 1, not 2, but 3 finalized Google cases, another one in the making, quite a number of Amazon cases. We have a Facebook case. We have the recent Apple case. I think if you look at our history, we have sort of made it credible that we will use the tools that we have.
Companies will be required to report acquisitions to Brussels and other European users, more choices for web browsers and search engines. Additionally, users may soon be able to exchange messages between different apps. However, experts caution that enforcing compliance will be arduous, with the EU already facing legal hurdles.
Well, compared to the Microsoft investment in OpenAI, this is a completely different order of magnitude. It's much, much, much smaller. Of course, it's important that we are vigilant watching over it, but I think the risk of a competition concern is much lower in this situation.
The European Commission requires full compliance reports from the tech giants by Thursday's deadline, with the possibility of significant penalties for non-compliance.
It's difficult to get good rules, but with the new rules, you only change your mindset, you only change your perception. Only when you implement, you change behavior. And what we need right here from gatekeepers, from the very large online platform, is change in behavior. And that take full force implementation efforts.
EU Commissioner for Competition Margrethe Vestager stresses the importance of robust enforcement to ensure compliance with the DMA.
I'm very happy with the DMA, very happy. Also because we still have all the antitrust tools that we use in individual cases. So if creativity in illegal behavior increases, well, then we have other tools, even if the DMA would not catch it.
Art lovers rejoice. The European Art Fair, also known as TIFAF, opens its doors this weekend in the Netherlands. From Saturday until March 14th, visitors can marvel at a treasure trove of paintings, sculptures, and jewelry, all available for purchase by those with deep pockets. Now, this year's TIFAF boasts a dazzling collection featuring renowned artists like Manet, Rubens, and Rodin. However, two paintings stand out as the undisputed stars of the show. Vincent van Gogh's Head of an Old Peasant Woman with a White Cap, and Vasily Kandinsky's Murnau mit Kirche 2, or Murnau in Church 2. MS Rao, a prominent American gallery, is presenting the Van Gogh. Rebecca Rao, the gallery's vice president of acquisitions, expresses her excitement about bringing this early work back to the Netherlands.
So this is a work we're beyond thrilled to bring back to the Netherlands. It's an early Van Gogh, and as you can see, it's the head of a peasant.
Rao elaborates on the painting's context, explaining it was created during Van Gogh's stay with his family in Nuenen.
When he's returned to Nuenen, where the artist was from and where he was staying with his family, and he was captivated by the local people who he really wanted to show with dignity.
Now, Murnau with Church 2 by Vasily Kandinsky offers another remarkable story. This masterpiece was only identified a decade ago in a Dutch museum and returned to the rightful heirs in 2022. The descendants of art collectors Johanna Marguerite Stern and Sigbert Stern. Now, tragically, Johanna perished in Auschwitz after fleeing Nazi persecution. The painting holds the record for the most expensive Kandinsky ever sold, fetching a staggering $50 million at auction last year. Art dealer Robert Landau acquired it and is now offering it at TIFAF, though the asking price remains undisclosed.
The way I feel about most of the masterpieces, many of which are in this building at the moment, is eventually they will likely end up in a museum. So there's a chance someone will get to live with it for a while, and aren't they very lucky?
Forget boring lunch boxes. Onigiri, those adorable seaweed-wrapped rice balls, are for having a moment. Once seen as a budget-friendly bite in Japan, these flavor-packed bundles are now tempting taste buds around the world. Want to see how they are made? Watch this.
改めてそういう食べ物に感謝したり、もっとその手料理を作ってあげたいっていう、気持ち、その意識のその気づきを結ぶものがおむすびじゃないかなって。
変わってないんです。なので変わったのは世の中が変わってきたんだと思います。おにぎりは、私たちが若い頃はお家で作るものです。おにぎりは。今はおにぎりは買って食べる、食べに来る、そういう時代になっちゃったんでしょうね。
My introduction to this was in Japan, so I was just so happy that I could get it here because it's a great, light, healthy snack on the go. No regrets after you eat one of these.
Sushi 以上に可能性があると思っています。やっぱり寿司は酢飯で海鮮っていう一応縛りがあるんですけど、おにぎりは例えばじゃあビーガンの方が食べれるおにぎり、ハラルの方が食べれるおにぎり、いろんな世界のカルチャーにフィットするので。
And today we're venturing into a historic landmark and a favorite among locals and tourists alike, the St. John City Market. This bustling market holds the title of Canada's oldest continuously operating farmers market, boasting a rich history dating back to 1785. Tyra Liu takes us there.
It's a nice weather in St. John today. Join me as I explore St. John in New Brunswick.
With a temperature of 6 degrees, a lot warmer from the usual sub-zero temperature, at this time in Canada's Atlantic region, it's an ideal time to explore the seaport city in New Brunswick. One of the popular tourist destinations in St. John, and considered as among the National Historic Sites of Canada, is the St. John City Market. Join me as I check out St. John City Market today. Considered as the oldest operated farmers market in the country, dating from 1785, the St. John City Market showcases some businesses that have been operating for more than a century. Most of the shops lining up portray the daily lives of the locals, including their tradition and common occupations. There are also several shops that feature delicacies from other countries. The City Market was designated a National Historic Site of Canada in 1986. From New Brunswick, Canada, Tyrone Lu, we live in extraordinary times.
As the London Underground Network brings back busking auditions for the first time since the pandemic, these auditions aim to fill the bustling underground stations with the sounds of live music, offering a welcome break for busy commuters on their daily journeys. Erica Celestino reports.
At London's Southwark train station, in an airy spot between two escalators, a small group of musicians unpacked their instruments, checked their music, and calmed any last-minute nerves.
I know you my heart's only desire, oh baby. Here I am, sign still delivered, I'm yours.
The London Underground Network is holding its first auditions since the pandemic for buskers to keep the city's 3.5 million daily travelers entertained and uplifted. Actor and singer Peter Willoughby was one of the first to step forward.
I fully believe in the power of live performance. I love seeing live performance. I love being in live performance, and there is something visceral about being in the presence of someone making something that makes you happy or sad or angry, or, you know, it can make you feel.
Around 280 musicians from 450 who applied have been shortlisted for the 10 days of auditions which have just begun. The shortlisted performers will be put through their paces at several stations, including Blackfriars and Canary Wharf, by 3-strong judging panels made up of professional musicians along station staff.
Well, today we're opening auditions for licensed buskers on our network, and we've got over 280 prospective buskers performing live for our judges to try and secure a license to be able to busk at one of the 40 pitches we have across our network.
It will be a very big thing for me, because the content that you can make busking, besides the money, but a lot of opportunities can arise from busking.
The judges' selections are due to be announced towards the end of March, with the new cohort up and running and entertaining London travelers by November. Reporting from London, United Kingdom, I'm Arabelle Celestino. Stay alert, for we live in extraordinary times.
You had
day on a thoughtful note. Our ability to look back and smile at our past is proof that God's plan is to keep us moving forward. This has been Eagle News International. I'm Alma Angela. Stay alert, stay informed, because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.